talking about sort of the current tour right now, it's kind of nice because actually just recently the Road Diary documentary came out.
Mm-hmm.
I actually also had the chance to see that in the theater because they played it here at the Calgary
Oh,
Film
great,
Festival.
great, yeah.
So, and you know, it's been great like seeing you guys on tour because of course I became a fan of Bruce in 2017. So I just missed the 2016 tour, and then I had to wait 6 years to
Right.
finally get the chance to see him.
Yeah, COVID jammed us all up.
And other projects going on and that
Right.
sort of thing. But so you know, it was really meaningful for me to finally get the chance to see you guys. But like, has it just been, you know, equally as meaningful for the band to finally get back on the road again?
Yeah, it's been great, man. I think what COVID did for a lot of us was, I mean, for me, it was I've been playing professionally since I was 15.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the first time in my life that I went that long not playing in front of people.
Yeah.
And not going out to do gigs at night. Like, it was just kind of strange. You know, the plus side was maybe like, okay, I got to be home and have dinner with my family and
Yeah.
watch Jeopardy and hang out. And that was great because usually I don't get to do that. Usually I'm leaving the house by 6 o'clock going to a gig.
Mm-hmm.
So that was fun. But, you know, it was really difficult not to be able to play in front of people, even though there was recordings going on and we were doing like with different friends of mine, we were doing like little video projects. Just to put stuff out, just to feel like you were still playing.
Yeah.
But I think when we got the word that the tour was going to happen, I think we all had missed it so much playing
Mm-hmm.
that it meant more. There was like what's the word I'm looking for? Not a heaviness in the sense of seriousness, but just the meaningfulness of that we get to go out and play music and see the faces of these people, like how much joy this
Mm-hmm.
music and how much joy we're bringing to them. And then they give it back to us.
Yeah.
And that energizes us to play even more and better. And it's just kind of like this circle, this symbiotic thing that happens. And I think that not that hasn't happened before. It always happens. But I just think it meant more now because we had those 2 years where none of us were able to play live,
Yeah,
you know.
for sure.
And for the people too, I think like a lot of people that took for granted maybe the fact that on any given night they could go hear whoever, then that got taken away. And so now to be able to go hear live music, I think a lot of people maybe appreciate that more.
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely. And then, like, you know, when it comes to kind of the actual performance of it all, I saw an interview recently with Max Weinberg,
Mm-hmm.
the drummer, and he mentioned that, like, you know, when he's on stage, that like Bruce is the only guy that he's paying attention to.
Yeah.
So, you know, when in your experience with playing with Bruce, is that kind of how you treat it as well?
Yeah. I mean, the great thing about this band, and I've said this before, Bruce very much has a jazz musician sensibility in the sense that you could play the same show every night and it'll be good, it'll be great, but the real greatness happens when nobody knows what the is going to happen, like when it's like what is next.
Yep.
And like anecdotally, Miles Davis used to pay his guys extra not to practice.
Right.
So then when they came on stage, there was this freshness because nobody knew what was going to happen. And I think Bruce has a little bit of that he knows that like when, you know, all the balls get thrown up in the air and you don't know where it's going to land, the kind of single-minded focus that everybody has to have, that's where we could screw up, but it could also be this unbelievably great thing that nobody expected. That's usually what happens.
Yeah.
So because of that, to answer your question, I always have an eye on Bruce. I'm always keeping an eye on him because we don't know what's going to happen. Like we have the set list, but sometimes we really go off script. And if he's got this very, I call him a wizard. He's a wizard out there.
Mm-hmm.
He's got this ability to be able to read an audience. And at any moment when this is my perception of it, where he feels a certain thing from the audience, at any moment he'll just change because of what he's feeling, and we go to a different tune.
Yeah.
And that's part of the fun of it. For me, I love that.
Yeah.
I love when just you don't know what's going to happen and you just got to play a heads up ball and just watch him. And he's such a great leader that if you watch him, you're never going to go wrong. He's going to lead us the right, we're going to be fine. You just have to watch him.
Yeah.
If you're not paying attention and you're the guy you don't want to be the guy that screwed up and stepped in a hole.
For sure.
So yeah, I maybe not to the degree that Max does.
Right.
Because I also have to kind of interact with the horn players, and we kind of have to lean on each other a little bit. But I always have at least one eye on Bruce all the time.
For sure. Yeah. And then in terms of, I wanted to mention this because on the current tour, one of the songs that is, in the set every night is Last Man Standing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just you and Bruce.
And Bruce, yeah.
Is that pretty wild to have a moment where it's just you and him on stage like that?
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, I joke that I never in a million years when I was a kid in my room practicing thought that I would be on the stage alone with Bruce Springsteen playing this tune. And that tune in particular, not to get into a lot of personal stuff, but the sentiment of the tune resonates very deeply with me because of a lot of friends that I lost at a young age. And so usually it's a combination of I'm scared to death because you're so exposed.
Yeah.
And the melody is it's like a fragile, there's a lot of fragility to the melody.
Mm-hmm.
The way that you have to play it. If you played it really strong, that wouldn't capture the spirit of it. So there's a lot of sensitivity and subtlety that I try and bring to that melody.
For sure.
And then usually what I do is I think about one of my friends that's no longer with us, and I kind of dedicate in my mind my solo to them that night.
Right.
And so that's but there are times where it's very scary to be out there all alone like that. Because the slightest little chip of slightest little crack, there's no place to hide. And that tune lays very funny on the trumpet. It's in a key and in a register. It's kind of like where it sits is right where, for a vocalist, where your voice breaks from full voice to falsetto.
Right.
So it's just a little fussy in that way, so that makes it even more nerve-wracking. But, I just go out there and again, I just try and put my spirit in the right place and really connect to the sentiment of the tune and try to connect to Bruce. And most nights it's beautiful and people love it. And I think it's beautiful because it's really the only moment in the show that's really like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And what other tracks do you like playing on? On this tour specifically?
I tend to like the more soul influenced R&B influence. So I love 10th Avenue. I love Land of Hope and Dreams. I love The Rising. I tend to like the tunes that are more the rock and soul vibe of the band rather than the straight up rock tunes. Obviously because most of the time we have more interesting horn parts and horns might play more of a role in that.
For sure.
Those songs. Yeah.
For sure. And now, kind of looking at everything from a behind the scenes element, what is your routine on a show day?
What is my routine on a show day? Well, I work out pretty much every day. On non-show days, I will usually try and find either a boxing gym or a Muay Thai gym or a jiu-jitsu or an MMA place to go and train. If I don't do that, I go to the hotel gym or I'll do yoga in my room or do push-ups. I do some type of physical thing every day because that's just a part of my life. And then I'll warm up, but I don't practice too much on the day of a show because just, we're doing these 3-hour shows and it's a very physically demanding gig. So I always want to feel like I'm walking on stage and my gas tank is on full.
Right.
On non-show days, then I practice a little more. I'm pretty regimented. I kind of do the same thing. I'm the same way at home. I'm kind of a disciplined guy. I get up early. I go to my, go to the gym, I work out, I practice. Like by noon, I've already kind of accomplished a lot of stuff. And I try to maintain that on the road. I try not to get into the thing of like sleeping all day and like that type of thing.
For sure.
You know, a lot of the places that we go to, I've been to multiple times, so I don't really go out and sightsee because
You've been there.
I've been there.
Yeah.
Unless it's a place that I haven't been, then I go do that. But I kind of, I read. Like I told you earlier, I'm a Chinese medicine practitioner. I'm a licensed acupuncturist and herbalist. So sometimes I'll give treatments to people in the band or crew guys. If I'm not doing that, I'm studying.
Right.
Like I'm always like kind of working on myself and working on things like that. I don't really hang out and go to the bar too much. It's not really my vibe.
Right. And then like, when it comes to the show, is it like, sound check pretty early and then you're at the arena most of the day?
Yeah, we're not most of the day. We get there like, mid to late afternoon. It kind of depends on logistics, but Bruce is really great. Like he doesn't kill us on sound checks.
Right.
We do just what we need to do is everybody cool? Everybody's cool. Great. Sounds great. Done. We have dinner and then we're ready to hit, which is great because I have been on gigs where it's almost like you do the whole gig at sound check.
Yeah.
And then for a trumpet player, you're walking out on stage and you're destroyed and that's no fun. So it's great in that aspect. But we always have, throughout the tour, we'll get emails, learn this tune, learn that tune, have these tunes ready. And so there's always work to be done. But I would say that because the band is at the level that it's at, there's a certain efficiency built into things.
For sure, yeah. Well, in the Road Diary documentary, there was one part where they were, the guys who've been with Bruce the longest were kind of joking how like back in the day they would sound check for 3 hours and then go out and play a 3-hour show.
Right.
Now Bruce is just kind of like, yeah, it sounds good.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think, like the one element that, and I've been in a few different bands that have been together for like Tower of Power is going on, I think, 55 years of being together.
Yeah.
When you're together with guys playing music for that long, the trust element is so strong. Like Bruce knows we're going to be there. Mm-hmm. Whatever he does, he knows that, like I joke and say, whatever you throw, we're going to catch.
Yeah.
And we know that he's never going to lead us off a cliff. Like, so there's trust and love and all those things that are part of what happens when you play music with people for a long time.